Why is being a closer a bad thing? If you are just a closer, here's where you're damaging that relationship. Why do people actually buy from people in the first place? How you should be a great closer. 4 types of salespeople. Remember this. The first one is how many times do you hear that you must be a closer in sales? You don't realize how much this is actually damaging your sales. And I'm going to tell you why within this video. So I'm Dr. Haydon. I'm a sales psychologist. So don't just look at the strategies that people use, but look at the psychology of what is actually going on underneath the surface, not just in the customer, but also in the salesperson. Now, why is being a closer a bad thing? You see it a lot, especially in the, American sort of influencers, in sales influencers. They say that you must always be closing, ABC, always be closing. Now, here's the problem with being a closer. Of course, you need to get somebody to commit and become on board with your program if you're actually ever going to do any sales. So this is not to talk you out of actually doing the sale, but it's the word closer that is actually costing you money. Let me explain in this video what I mean by that. So if you think about it, think about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is understanding what someone's emotions is going through whilst they're in that situation with you. It could be in anything, but we're talking about sales in this specific video. So emotional intelligence, what that actually says is it's not just about your internal thoughts, but how you're coming across to somebody else as well. So there's 2 elements of emotional intelligence. First of all, what are you thinking? And also, what are you putting across? What are you conveying? What are you signaling across to somebody else? Now, the third part of emotional intelligence is what are they thinking? Okay. What is going on inside their mindset? Okay. Now, those thoughts only come from the emotions that they're feeling at that time, in that period, in that time. If they're feeling like there's something not right, then they are never going to actually commit to anything. Yeah. Whether that be the actual sale or any steps along your sales process. Now, the fourth element of emotional intelligence as well is what they're signaling, what they're giving off. And you as a salesperson, as a sales professional, need to be thinking, what sort of signals are they giving off here? And how do I start to react and respond to those signals that they're giving off? If you are just a closer and you just think, I'm going for the close here because I'm such a great closer, here's where you're damaging that relationship. If you're just thinking close, 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 you're making it all about you, okay? The signals that you'll be giving off, whether this is psychologically or through your communication, will be about how you need to get that sale, not about what is in it for them. And remember, why do people actually buy from people in the first place? It's to solve a problem or a fear that they may have. And that fear may be that they may not achieve their dreams one day if they carry on going the way they're going. That's what it tends to come back down to. And I'll speak about this in other videos. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out the other videos on the psychology of selling. So why is closing such a bad thing? Well, there's an element of it that is actually a good thing. The first part of being a good thing is that we want to be able to encourage the salesperson's what we call agency. Okay, so the feelings of agentic emotions. And what this means in agency is that somebody is going after it. Yeah, they're energizing themselves to move forward, to want to actually be a great salesperson. So the word closer is a bit of in their psychology. It's giving them a label, an identity that they have this agency to want to go out there and make the sale happen. The challenge is how you're coming across emotional intelligence, how you're coming across to the other person when you talk about yourself and not about them. Okay, so that's where it starts to become damaging for you, calling yourself a closer all the time and going and learning all this stuff about how you should be a great closer, because being a closer makes it about you wanting to close them. Now think about it. If you was going to go and make a big purchase right now, and I know I'm talking about the 95%, not the 5% that could be watching this and going, fuck, Lewis, I just need to, I'm a salesperson, I understand great sales. I'm talking about SMEs out there, right, that haven't really had sales training or anything like that. You've employed some salespeople and you've got somebody that's sitting at a desk in your business. It's not about you anymore. It's about your employees as well. Okay. And they're sitting there thinking, I've got to be a closer. I've got to be a closer, right? What is that doing for them when they do not close? Does that make them feel like a more confident salesperson, or does that damage them as well? Well, yeah, they need to learn how to become a greater influencer or a better salesperson. So always be thinking about, what do you need to be harnessing, not just for your psychology, but for your team and business psychology as well? Are you going to be pushing them to say you must close, or are you thinking more about, how does this customer add more of a lifetime value to the business? Thank you for listening to the podcast so far. A quick reminder that the A Players podcast and community remains free. The reason we do this podcast is because I believe that a great question to ask is, what advice would you give your younger self? For me, I wish I had a guide that showed me the exact steps to reach 100k a year in any job, and how much my life would be accelerated if I'd cut through that noise and just focused on those steps. We do not run ads or endorse sponsors, because it is our mission to give back and share with you, the listener, knowledge gained from working with highly successful individuals and extensive research in management science, so that everyone has access to tools that can accelerate their income and give them the opportunity to step into wealth. In line with allowing us to achieve that mission, we ask that you think about, how did you end up on this podcast today? Maybe it was through finding it on YouTube or Spotify or word of mouth. So please help feed forward by subscribing to the podcast, and also share this podcast with another leader like you that you feel this podcast could really help out in helping them increase their personal income too. Let's get back to the show. You see, here's another challenge with being a closer. You're closing them one time. If that person feels like they've been closed and not been professionally sold to, would you, as a decision maker on a purchase, want to go back to somebody who is celebrating behind the scenes about how much they've closed that person? Because they're making it about them and not about the customer. So what clever salespeople do is they understand the lifetime value of working with the customer, right? So it's not about the first close. It's not about a race to the bottom to get the cheapest price. What happens when people race to the bottom just to get the close, and all they do is compete on price? Well, guess what? Somewhere along the line, that business needs to make that money back. So think about car salespeople, for example. They are there because they're driven to close and get their numbers in by the end of the month. Okay? Now, clever car salespeople will recognize that it's about the lifetime value of somebody. When they're finished with that sale, then they will come back again if they have a great experience. So look at Porsche, for example. They will put you in one of the first entry-level Porsches, and then they will build you up to one day, invite only, be invited to buy a Porsche Carrera GT3. Okay? They're not always available to people who are just buying the car. Why? Because they know the value of a lifetime customer and how to protect it. Now, if they were just closers and it was like, hey, let's just sell them a Porsche and not have any contact with them again, they're closed. Oh, guess what? Bob wants to buy another Porsche. Let's close him again. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. And that is the challenge of what you're seeing on YouTube from American-style salespeople. Yeah? 4 types of salespeople. Remember this. The first one is the administration. You can almost put it on a ladder. Level 1, admin salesperson. This person, all they do is they quote, they take an inquiry, and they get an email maybe, or quite possibly a phone call. Yeah. By the way, you should always be communicating and speaking to somebody on the phone or face to face or Teams or Zoom, because communication through words is only a few percentage of actually what is transferred. So if you want full communication, you need to be speaking to them. Yeah. Not just emailing. Administrators or admin salespeople, they're not even salespeople, are just sending out the quote, and then let's just hope and cross our fingers that that order comes in. The challenge with this is you do not take any ownership for the sales process, and you just pass it on to the customer. Yeah, the customer makes the decision, not you. The challenge with that, again, is why is that important? Well, it's important that you know how to service a customer and give them a great experience for the product or the thing that they're trying to solve. If you don't do this, then they could go in the wrong direction and make their own mind up where they're not informed as much as what you think they should be. Okay, so if you inform them better, they can make better decisions to solve their challenge. Administration salespeople don't do that. The second level is what I call the tradie salesperson. Yeah, these are like the solopreneurs, people that have gone out and gone, hey, I can start my own business. I'm going to go out there and do it on my own. Why am I working for this person? They don't have any sales training. And what they do is they'll go out there thinking they're the entrepreneur. And then what will happen is that they will get a load of quotes and they'll go and quote people, start to take some inquiries. And then what they will do is either race to the bottom with their price, like we just spoke about, or they won't even do any follow-ups. They will think that the sales just comes to them. Yeah. The people in this area tend to rely on their marketing more. So they'll spend money to market, but when they actually get inquiries coming in, their conversion rate is so low, yeah, they're not actually converting these people, that they're just wasting money for marketing. Why would you turn a marketing tap on if you were shit at sales? Think about that one. It makes sense to get better at sales first because it doesn't cost you anything. Number 3, well, this one is the pushy salesperson. This is the car salesperson. Yeah. Think about car sales. What is it? You go into a car sales place, and the reason you would not want to go to a car sales place is because you feel that you're going to get sold to. So when you walk in the door, you are sold on that car already because of their advertising and marketing. And then the pushy salesperson, you know, the car salesperson, especially like these videos that you see on YouTube of all these sales trainers in America, they're a bit like, you know, especially the American style. And I always say this because this is what you see from the YouTube sales trainers, is that you must sell to that person. You must close them. So when I'm talking about video, when I'm talking about the different sorts of salespeople and not being a closer, I'm talking about these car sales trainers. And they don't have to just be selling cars, of course, but that's the sort of persona that I'm mentioning here. Because they're, in their mind, they have to get their numbers in by the end of the month, and they have to go and sell. Okay. The fourth type of salesperson is the sales professional. Okay. The sales professional understands that through a lifetime relationship, that business will actually make more money than just selling them one time. Okay. So, ever heard of buyer's remorse? Well, that comes from being a closer. Yeah. You want to be a professional that has a strategy of not just how you get a sale this month, but how do you get a sale in a year's time, in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, the compounding effect of actually looking after a customer. Okay. So make the decision. Do you want to be a one-time closer, or would you rather be a professional that has a strategy of how you look at lifetime value rather than just one time's closing? So have a good think about this then. What are your key takeaways from today of what you need to do to become more smarter and increase your sales psychology intelligence rather than just having strategies that you think that you can deploy, like objection handling, for example? How many strategies are there? But you see them all the time on Instagram and YouTube, don't you? Say this and say that and say this, and you'll get them over the line and you'll close them. Yeah. I like this sort of stuff as well, but ultimately you need to be thinking about how do you have that lifetime value and not be a closer, be a strategic salesperson that actually wants to see the customer win and not just you.